Hello, garden friends. Welcome back to Finding Joy in the Garden. It's time for the July garden tour, and I am so excited that you are here with me today. I'm starting off in a different part of the garden because I have a new favorite bed. I'm going to back up so you can see it. Look at her. She is so green and lush and full of food, and it makes me so happy just to see this. So here are my pride and joy okra plants. This is the heavy hitter okra, and so far I love this okra. It is very productive. I pick pods pretty much every day. I only have 9 plants in here. Here's my okra blossom. Isn't she pretty? Isn't she pretty? But yeah, it is making a lot of okra. I'm gonna have enough saved up for the year. This is what you don't want to do, people. Look at this. I missed this okra. Can you see how ginormous this thing is? It is huge. I need to get it off so it does not stunt the plant. But she's making, look at her. Look at the future flowers. Look at that. That's a lot. Yeah, I approve of this plant. And next to her is some corn. Now this corn I'm not expecting much from because I put just a few stalks in. I just wanted to watch it grow. So it is starting to try to form something here. So we'll see if I get anything off of it, but I'm not holding out hope for much. It is still beautiful to look at. So that's the corn. And then the Roselle. Now I have 2 plants. Ooh, look at that. It's a grasshopper. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get it in view for you guys. Can you see her? Ooh. Okay, don't jump in my direction. That's a grasshopper. I have never seen one in this garden. She's majestic. Look at her. Oh, she's so pretty. Okay, we're gonna let her do her thing. Okay, miss. Go on now. So I have 2 plants in here in this one 3-gallon bucket here. And I covered it with chicken wire. I made a video earlier about how I rabbit proofed it because rabbits do like Roselle. So far, no issue with the rabbits. And these 2 plants here are producing, starting to produce flowers. But the one on the other side has been producing Roselle for over a month. Let me swing over to that side so you can see it. So see, this is the, ooh, it has a little pollinator. That's the Roselle blossom, which looks very similar to the okra blossom because they are both of the hibiscus family. But look at all the way down there. I should have picked these. You're supposed to pick them before they open up. But it has so many in there. I think I'm just going to save seeds from those ones that are already too mature, and then I'll start picking these. But these 2 plants in here, for some reason, they're smaller, but they've been producing Roselle, and the other one is much bigger. It hasn't started producing yet. I'm fine with that. It is an early producer. Most Roselles will produce later in the year, so I am perfectly fine with that. Now I've zipped to the front of the garden to show you that the garden is not static. It's changing, things are growing, but things are dying, and that's okay. So this used to be the glory of my garden, the black-eyed Susans and the petunias, but as you can see, the petunias have gone bye-bye. I need to replant this here. And the black-eyed Susans are not in the best shape. Now these petunias don't care. They are doing their thing. And that just goes to show that the garden is always changing. And you change with it. You can plant new things in the garden. You can take out the old stuff. Never stop changing. So this here is the razzmatazz grapevine, and my goodness, I was not even ready for this. Look, it's ripening grapes. This is July. I have grapes. Look at that. I need to come put a baggie on these because rabbits, but look at that. I have some ripe grapes in there. They're little clusters. This is the first time fruiting for this grapevine, but it's one of those that, it's not one of those, it's the only one that we know of that produces successions of grapes, so you don't get one big harvest. It just keeps producing until frost. So I can't wait to try these grapes. Look at them. So these ones are ripening, but look, it's still flowering and fruiting. Isn't that awesome? Now, it's been a while since I walked you guys through the garden, so you may not have seen these zinnias. Look, this is the pink senorita. And this one's old, so it's kind of dying off, but it's so beautiful. And then this is the polar bear. And I wanted pink and white together, and I'm getting what I wanted. Look at the little pollinator. But I think it's so gorgeous. They look good together. And then the poor little nasturtiums are not liking the heat, but this one finally opened. This is the first flower, and it's gorgeous. I got this mixed pack from the Dollar Tree. So far it looks like I've got orange flowers, so we'll see what the other ones turn out. And right next to it, look at that. That's the lemongrass. It's doing so good. This could pass for an ornamental grass, right? So I don't need to plant ornamental grass. I should just plant some lemongrass, and I'll get the benefit of it being an herb and also gorgeous looking. Some more zinnias. This is also the polar bear zinnia. And then this is the, ooh, what's the name of this one? Ooh, I don't remember, but I'll put it on the screen. And it has different variations, so see, all the flowers look different. This one is a little yellow, but they're tiny compared to the polar bear, which can get pretty big. And I just wanted to group them together. Wanted a little bit of yellow brown at the bottom and then white towering over it. All right, the sunflowers have not started flowering yet, but this one is starting to make a head. I cannot wait. So far, this protection from the rabbits seems to be holding, so yay. This bed here, look at how big it's gotten. So the marigolds are showing off, and I've got all my jalapeno peppers here. This one is ripe, and I should pick it. Look at that. I wanted them to ripen. See, when they ripen, I don't know if you can see this, but they start to get these little stretch marks at the bottom. And the red is so brilliant. I'm sad it's in the shade. You can't see it all that well, but there are many more on here, and so many other plants. See, there's more and more. And then here I have banana peppers, which I pick for salads mostly. They are sweet peppers, no heat to them at all. And I wasn't sure what this was before, but it turned out to be a serrano pepper, which I'm happy about. I do have some others in the garden as well. And these habanero peppers have not started producing yet. Habaneros like to take their merry time. But you know what's not taking its time? The gochujaro peppers. These peppers are gorgeous. So look in here. They are big. And then this one is ripening. You see it? This one here is ripening. So I have 3 peppers out front here, and I'm gonna get a good harvest from them. Do you remember that pepper I was telling you about that was all yellow? The leaves are still yellow. I don't know what's up with this plant, but it's producing fruit. So this is a habanero. I think it's an orange habanero. There, it has fruit, so the leaves are not a problem. And behind it I have some eggplant. That's a Nigerian striped eggplant, I believe, or some kind of striped eggplant. Lots of flea beetle damage, but making fruit, tastes delicious. And what's this upside down pepper, you say? This is the Szeged Hungarian paprika pepper, and it's starting to ripen. The lemon drop pepper, also making upside down peppers. What's my thing with upside down peppers? Look at that. Can you see it? Wait a minute. There. Okay. This is a Thai basil plant. The flowers are beautiful. These pepper plants were supposed to be habanero type peppers, but they are obviously not. These leaves are definitely not habanero peppers. So I think it's a smaller, like almost like a bird's eye chili kind of pepper. It hasn't started making any fruit that I can see, so we'll have to wait and see what it is. There's always going to be some kind of pepper gate in the garden. And this is the perfume pepper, and it started to make a fruit, but some bug decided it needed it more than I did, so hole in it. But it did leave one for me. Let's see. Yep, I got one. Now this pepper I didn't label, so I'm not quite sure what it is. I have to go look, see which peppers I actually planted. But it's ripening. I'm gonna come pick these soon. And this one looks like a shishito pepper, which I have quite a few of those. Now I have my cayenne peppers here. This one is, I believe, the orange cayenne pepper. No, I think this is the golden cayenne pepper. That's what it is. And this pepper I left on just to show you what sun scald looks like. So this pepper plant fell over, and so this pepper was exposed to the sun directly, not covered by any leaves. And you see how it looks like a thin membrane. It's actually quite thin. If I put my nail through it, it would just go right through it. But the rest of the pepper looks okay, but this is sun scald. So if you see this on your pepper, it's not disease, it's just sun scald. And this is the purple cayenne pepper. I have two plants in here and they are different. So see this one here, it has more purple leaves, while the sister right here, the leaves are greener, it's taller. You see the height difference? And she is producing flowers. Her flowers are purple. Look at those. Isn't that cute? The variety you can get with peppers is astounding. Now this one, have you started flowering yet? You have? Oh, it has a pepper. Let's look at the baby pepper. Guess what? It's upside down. Look at that. The pepper is purple. You say that 10 times fast. The pepper is purple. The pepper is purple. If you watched one of my earlier tour videos, you might remember this plant. This was a tiny little twig and it looked all green. It was being covered by the leaves of the tomato plants that were right here. So it wasn't getting much sun. And then I cut it back. Well, I cut the leaves back. And this is a purple tiger jalapeno pepper, which is one of my favorite peppers in the garden now because of the variegation of its leaves. And it does make beautiful purple flowers there. So it started producing, even though it's so tiny. I just put it here because I think it's beautiful and I want to see it every time I walk past this garden bed. Now let's go through the tomato tunnels, but before we get there, let me show you this bed at the back here. This is mostly peppers. These are the ají amarillo peppers. I told you they get pretty big. Look at the span of those. So in comparison, this is a serrano pepper, which is not a tiny pepper, and this is the KS white Thai pepper, also with variegated leaves. Gorgeous, isn't it? But then there's the ají amarillo. Look how tall she gets. She gets tall, she's lanky. I'm gonna have to get some kind of support for them. But it has started producing peppers, some of them at least. See this one here? So this space is gonna be full in a second. That's my kale plant from last year. And I cut it down because it started flowering and then it's back in business. It does have a lot of leaf damage, but see, these are caterpillars. Off you go. Off you go. Away with you. But I do use the leaves to fertilize my garden. I will pick leaves off of it, so the ones that are damaged, and I'll put them in my compost area. Like this one here. It's just a bucket. I put food scraps in it, and then I cover it with leaves. Ooh, it seems like I got part of my pepper plant in it. Wait a minute. I'll rescue you, little one. There you go. Alright. Moving on. More peppers. This is another KS white Thai. These peppers are glorious. I just plant them everywhere because they're so pretty. Now here I have the cherry tomatoes, and let me back up so you can see. I just picked these yesterday and it's just so full. Barry's Crazy Cherry. Like, I've picked hundreds and hundreds of tomatoes off of this. I have the black cherry tomato and super sweet 100 here. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? That's a super sweet 100. And I have mostly yellow tomatoes here. So Tim's Taste of Paradise has these little tomatoes. And then the Sun Gold Select, which I've decided I don't really care for. It's not as sweet as the Sun Gold, which is what I was going for. So next year I think I'm going to get the Sun Gold seeds. And then the Champagne Bubbles, I've given it a good try and I'm not impressed. It does split pretty easily, which I think all yellow tomatoes seem to split a lot. And the flavor is just not there. So we'll try something new next year. And this is the blueberries tomato. I'm still trying it out, but I don't think any of the tomatoes on this part of the trellis are going to make it into my garden next year. At the bottom I have a lot of basil. So I have the lemon basil all through here. And on the other side of the trellis I have Italian basil, which I have to prune. See, you have to keep these pruned so they don't go to flower. So this is Italian basil. I have chives over here, which have been here since last year. I've got basil everywhere. It's hard to walk through this tunnel. This is the big boy tomato tunnel, and it's hard to walk through it because of all this basil. This is the blue spice basil, which I let flower because the smell, while I don't like it, the bees love it, so I leave it out for the bees. And behind it is it's a Ghanaian basil. I thought it was the Ecocomesa, but I think it's the Avivi Intor, something like that. I'll put the name on the screen. I think that's what it is. I love basil. Any basil, I'll plant basil. Say it's basil, I'll plant it. And on the other side there I have Greek basil and spicy glow basil, regular Thai basil, and Siam Queen Thai basil. So basil everywhere. Ooh, that's a big bee. Look at her. She's huge, trying to fly into me. See what I mean? These bees love basil. So I have 2 Thai basil plants here, and this one is for me and this one is for the bees. So I keep this one pruned, and then this one I let it flower so the bees can have some. This is a huge, I don't think I've seen a bigger bee. Wow. Let's look at you. Are you in frame? Are you in frame? Ooh. Okay. Okay. Don't come for me. Hi, gorgeous. Speaking of pollinators, these butterflies love this little patch here. This is a zinnia patch, and I can guarantee every time I walk past here there's going to be at least 1 butterfly on it. But right now I spot 4. You want the butterflies in your garden? Hey, sprinkle some zinnia seeds. You'll get them. Look at them. They're fighting over the plants. Just, oh my gosh, I could watch this all day. I really could. Okay, more basil. Just call me the queen of basil. Let's get it over with. This is a purple basil called the dark opal basil. And then this is the lucid gem tomato, doing quite well. I've picked, I think, probably 7 or 8 tomatoes off of that one. Here's the jet star. I have 1 mama jama here. She's ripening. I'm gonna pick her today or tomorrow because she's huge. It's 2 tomatoes fused. That's why she's so big. This is kind of more the regular size. And that's some more jet star moneymaker tomatoes. And then the early girl is here. She has made quite a bit of fruit. She does a really good job. I think early girl is great. Now the prairie fire tomato seems to be on a break, so I have some that are not ripe yet, but most of the tomatoes have been picked off, and it doesn't seem to have set much more fruit, although she is flowering right there. So there is hope on the horizon. Next to her, orange peach, she did pick up some disease, but she's still producing quite a bit of tomatoes. So I've picked a lot of tomatoes off of this. I really have. And they're so fun because the skin is fuzzy. And here's something else that's not doing well at all. This is the cucumber plant. This one was infested by the pickle worm, so she is going to be pulled pretty soon. And here's another agent of destruction. Can you see her? The cucumber beetle. Ugh. So this one is a goner. And the Persian baby, I have a choice to make. I think I'm going to come pick all these leaves off. It has some kind of disease on it. I'll pick the leaves off and fertilize it and let it restart. I've done that a couple of times and it's come back, so we'll see what it does. I do have a new set of cucumber plants growing, so whichever way, it's fine. Now, this used to be my Burmese rat-tail radish, which I love and adore. Do you know who loved it more than I did? The rabbits. They chewed it down, all the way down. Look at that. They're so mean. But next year, I know, to protected. Lesson learned. So in this bed here, I have highs and lows. The tomatoes, the San Marzano tomatoes, did not do well. I don't think I'm going to plant them again. They're not very good in my garden. I got a lot of blossom end rot, and then they picked up disease and didn't do very well with them. Most of my other tomato plants, they all picked up disease pretty much, and they were able to fight it back, but this one just keeled over and died. So I don't think I'll be planting it anymore. I did pick some tomatoes off of it, but the yield was not very good. So that's a But on the other hand, I have this here cucumber plant. It's really a melon, but this is the Armenian cucumber. It has tried to fight back some of the disease on it, and it's starting to produce fruit again. I saw one female flower. Now, if you didn't know, these melons and cucumbers, most of them will have male and female flowers, so separate flowers. So your tomato plants will have one flower that has a male and female part, but these cucumbers and melons have a separate male flower and female flower. Do you see these bees fighting over flower? Let's just observe. There are enough flowers for both of you, okay? Share, be nice. Look at them. Okay, but see, now I lost my train of thought. But these ones have male and female flowers. So this is a male flower here, and you can tell because it doesn't have what looks like a fruit at the bottom of it. It's just, ooh, come on now. I said share. I was using that. Really, two of you? Oh my goodness. All right, I guess I'll have to wait for you. You done? Okay, thank you. All right, so this is the male flower, and it doesn't have, oh, you're back. It doesn't have what looks like a fruit attached to the bottom. It's just a flower, right? But let's look for a female one. There you go. So this is a female flower, and it has what looks like a baby fruit with a flower at the tip of it. So what you need are these bees or other pollinators to take pollen from the male flower and put it in the female flower, and then this will get pollinated and grow into a fruit. Science lesson. So the Armenian cucumber is doing well. I think I've picked just one off of it before it got sick, and then it's fought back the disease, and now it's showing off by making all these female flowers. There's another one there, another one there. So if my cucumbers don't do well, but the Armenian cucumbers do okay, I will be just fine. I just need something that looks like and tastes like a cucumber. That's all I'm asking for. I put a load of eggplants in here, so I have probably be about 12 plants in here, and they were very small when I put them in. I put them in late compared to the other things in the garden, but now they're showing off. They are getting tall, they're starting to flower. I'm going to have more eggplant than I know what to do with. I'm not complaining. And then look at the squash plant. I can't believe I've kept a squash plant alive this long. The squash bugs and the cucumber beetles are relentless. This is the Trombetta d'Albenja. It's supposed to be somewhat resistant to the squash vine borer, so it's doing well. It was the first of all my plants to get to the top of the trellis. The leaves are huge. It spreads out pretty well. It makes this ginormous squash. You're supposed to pick it before it gets this big, but I was just fascinated watching this thing grow, so I left it. Now, there were two plants in here. One tried to die off, but before she died, she tried to leave behind a little child, and this is what she left behind. And it started to harden, kind of ripen, so I let it, because you can store this squash, so you can use it as a regular squash or you can use it as a winter squash. So I'm going to leave this one to dry up and see how that does. But this one I should pick soon because it's huge. And this squash is also like the melon I just showed you. It makes male and female flowers. So let's see if I can find you a male flower. Over here. This one here is a male flower. It just has a stalk and then a flower. Out of the way, little one. Okay, so it just has a stalk here and then the flower. And then a female one would have what looks like a fruit. There's one here, but it died off, so it didn't get pollinated. Oop, see? It didn't get pollinated, but it will be like a little fruit, and then the flower will be at the end. But this one didn't get pollinated, so it just, if it doesn't get pollinated, it dries up and falls off, and you can throw it back in your bed as fertilizer. I was filming, but then I saw a squash bug and I had to get it. So this is how I take care of my squash plants. I have a cup of water, soapy water, and I leave it in the garden so it's easy to reach. And whenever I see a cucumber beetle or a squash bug, I just tap them into the water, and that's that. Garden tip. Another win for me in this bed are these bitter melons. So I have the Okinawan pure white bitter melon here, and the Satsuma Onaga bitter melon. Now this is not how you want your bitter melon to look. This here is ripe bitter melon. I would dare say overly ripe. This is actually rotting. Yeah, it's soft. I need to get it off. But they were gorgeous just a week ago. It started ripening, so I decided to let it go because I want to save seeds. These seeds were not cheap. They were not cheap when I got them, so I'm gonna save these seeds. And then this one also had some insect damage at the tip of it, so it started ripening as well, and I said, I'll just let it. I'll save some seeds. Now you can see, let me show you. This is the seed. It must be delicious because these ants are all over it. So the seed fell from this one at the top here, and I'm gonna see if I can pan you in. There are a lot of ants, so if you don't like ants, you might want to look away, but let's look in there. So those are all the seeds in there. So I'm going to pick this and collect the seeds. I need to take it off the plant so it doesn't stunt my plants. But look what she's doing. I put her in a bucket here because like I said, this is the last bed I put together. The soil was not the greatest, so I left it in a container. This is a 3-gallon container, and it has holes at the bottom, so the plants will eventually send roots all the way down into the soil. But before that, it will have good soil to grow in and get established. So it grew up here. I put it on this trellis, string trellis, and it has little tendrils that attach to the trellis, and I also wind it around the string as well. But it's climbed all the way to the top, and I decided to put some more string, if you can see here, across to my grape trellis because my grapes are still babies and they haven't climbed on the trellis yet. So this trellis is unused, so I figured I'd put some trellis wire going across to this so they can climb across and make a little bit of a bitter melon tunnel for me. So you can see that, and as it gets bigger it's going to be way more beautiful, but that's the plan. And you can see the beginnings of it. This is the fruit hanging off here, and then this is the pure white Okinawan one hanging here. So it's just gonna have fruit hanging up off of here and then eventually off of this trellis. So that's gonna be a pretty sight, at least I think so. So even though this bed did struggle a bit, I have some wins in there and I've learned some lessons. I do need to work on this soil here. I need to put a lot of organic matter in here. I do have a compost bin area here. So it's, like I said, just a 3-gallon container, and I put kitchen scraps and cuttings from the garden in there, and I water through it, so whatever nutrients are in there will kind of spread into the garden bed. But over the winter I'm going to be working on this bed to bring it up in nutrition. But doesn't the garden just look beautiful? I love it when things start to get so big and green. I can remember when everything was so tiny and barely there, and now it's just color and fruit and flowers. It's just so beautiful to me. All right, let's go to the green stalk. Look at her. I'm so glad with the peppers I decided to put in here, because even though I didn't plant it, I did end up with smaller varieties like this here. Thai pepper, the variegated white Thai pepper, so pretty, so beautiful. And then the pequeno pepper here, you see these fruit. Pequeno is Portuguese for little beak, which is a perfect name for this because you see the little tips, looks like a little bird's beak. Pequeno pepper. The Swiss chard is doing well. I do need to fertilize this because some of the leaves are starting to yellow out. The kale, some bug damage on it. And I have to pull these veggies at the top. They got crispy fried. But look, oh the joy. This one jalapeno pepper, the only one that survived from when I winter sowed it. If you remember from my older videos, it was this tiny. It looked like a corpse. But she made it. So I have one jalapeno. Is it a jalapeno? No, it's a habanada. So a habanada is a heatless habanero pepper, and a jalapeno is a heatless jalapeno pepper. But this is a habanada. So I have only one in the garden and I am excited. All right, moving along. My Kajari melons. Look at them. Okay, I will say something to you. This is a grape. She's like, why are you walking by me? This is a grape. And then the Kajari melon. Look at the Kajari melon. I need to come put a little bag to hold it up so it doesn't fall off the vine. But this plant here only has this one Kajari melon. But sister over here is doing some showing off. Look at that. There's one in here. You see her? And then I saw another one today forming over here. So look at that. So I have, I think, 2 or 3 on this plant here. I put up this ladder mesh as a trellis. Where are your words? As a trellis. So I have this one here and this one. They're both for the Kajari melon. So we'll see how this does. And then here we have pepper aisle. Now, this pepper, for months I've been saying is the lemon drop pepper, and it did look like it. But then I started noticing the peppers looked a little longer. And I thought, maybe it's just because I was feeding them well and they're happy. But they started ripening, and initially they looked yellow. So I was convinced I was still right. Until they started turning more orange, and then it dawned on me what happened. So this is an overwintered pepper, and it's actually the ají amarillo pepper that I took in, not the lemon drop. I told you I didn't label any of my peppers, so there was a mystery to me what these were, but I decided this was the lemon drop. I was wrong. Ají amarillo. Now, I'm not mad at all because this pepper takes a long time to start producing. I showed you the other ones earlier in the video, and they haven't. I have one pepper on it right now. But this one, because it was overwintered, jump started. So I have ripening peppers on it. And these peppers have been sitting here for months. So it takes a long time to make fruit and to ripen it. So I'm not mad at all that this is the ají amarillo. Basil, another overwintered pepper, which ended up being the red habanero. I've picked probably 5 or 6 off of this one already. This is the brown jalapeno. I don't have anyone's ripening yet, but it has made quite a bit of fruit there. And it's tall. I'm gonna get a lot of fruit off of this one, and it looks very healthy. And next to it is another Szeged Hungarian pepper. I picked one off of this a couple of days ago, and I have 3 that are ripe that need to be picked. This is a lemon drop pepper. So you can see why I was confused. The peppers look very similar. They're both ají peppers, so that's the ají amarillo, and this is the ají lemon, if I'm not mistaken. So they do have the same kind of leaves, and the peppers look alike, but they're different. So this will ripen to a brilliant yellow. Next to it is a chocolate habanero pepper. Don't think I have any peppers on. Oh, they started forming peppers. Hi, baby pepper. And then this is the shishito. This one is no good. I'm gonna pick it and put it back in there. It's a shishito pepper. I just snack on this in the garden. Most of them are heatless, but like 1 in 10 will be hot, so be careful if you don't like hot peppers. I love hot peppers. This pepper here is the lemon habanero. I can't wait for this to ripen. It's a very pretty pepper, and it has quite a few hanging off of it. It's gorgeous. And then I have a white habanero here, which hasn't made any fruit yet. And then this is the ají cristal. My first year planting it. I love it. Just looking at it hanging off. Let me show you. Isn't that pretty? Ají cristal. The peppers are bigger than I anticipated. I'm happy about them, but it's bigger than what I thought it was going to be. I have a bikini pepper here, and this one is bigger than the ones in the green stalk because I planted it earlier, and it looks like one is starting to ripen. I'm not sure if it's yellow or red because it came in a mixed pack. And behind it here is the ají amarillo. So this is one that was not overwintered. This one is bigger because it was planted earlier than the ones in ground. So it's doing well, but you can see it's not ripening any peppers yet, and it is smaller than the other overwintered pepper. Now, on to my favorite baby. This is my favorite pepper plant. This is the purple tiger jalapeno pepper. Variegated leaves, purple flowers, and purple peppers. So pretty, very productive, gorgeous. I will plant it every year. I had some ground cherries, but they died. I'm not sure what happened to them, but I don't mind. My kids don't seem to like ground cherries, so I'm not too sad about that. This is a red habanero, one that was not overwintered, doing well. And then this one is the shadu pepper. She's pretty. So it's like a light yellow pepper. I'm not sure what it ripens to, but look at that. It makes beautiful peppers. This is the Thunder Cashew Brown. The peppers look like cayenne peppers. I believe it ripens to a brown color is why I bought it. So we'll see. Now this is the ají white lightning pepper, and the peppers are just so funny looking. Look at that. All wrinkly, curved and twisted. Like all of them. Look at this one. And that's why I bought it. This is the way it was described, and I said, absolutely, sign me up. Look at this. Doesn't this look like some kind of curly chip? It does. It's so pretty. This is the New Mix lemon spice pepper, which is a jalapeno pepper that ripens to yellow. I can't wait for these things to start ripening. It's going to be a profusion of color here. Now this pepper, I need to go look at the peppers I planted so I can figure out which one this is. I think it might be a puma pepper, but I'm not sure. I put it in on a hot day, and I was like, I'm not labeling anything. I'm running into the house, so I'm not sure what the name is, but look at the peppers. Will you please look at the deep purple peppers? And you know, they're growing upside down, so that makes me happy. Look. And I don't know if this one is ripening. It's starting to turn color, or is it just, oh no, it's just some green. So where the sun hits it is just purple. And then on the underside where the sun doesn't hit it, it's green. So pretty. This one is getting sun all around, so not all around, but most of it. So you can see purple, 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 and then the back there, a little strip of green. I love purple peppers, can you tell? Let me prune this basil a little bit so it can bush out. Now this pepper here is the Sugar Rush Stripey. I haven't had any ripe ones yet, but she's doing her job. She's making peppers. Now tell me if you've seen a more perfect pepper. This is the Lecia pepper. It is so pretty. Look at the red. I need to come through and harvest. This pepper is so pretty. I'm not sure what I planted next to it, but it's a pepper that starts off green and it turns purple and then ripens to red. Kaleidoscope. Next to it is the Chodisherdo pepper, and it's ripening as well. Look at this one. It looks a little twisted. You see it? It's beautiful. And this sunflower came up here. Did I call you a sunflower? You're not a sunflower though. Are you a sunflower? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This is a Black-Eyed Susan, and it came up as a volunteer in this container, and I pulled quite a few of them from my pepper containers, but this one I left here because, I mean, you see a pepper, you see a flower, why would you complain? It's perfect. So I left it here so I can smile when I walk past. This is a datil pepper, and I would have bought it if I'd known how pretty it was going to be. It's a habanero type pepper. It came as a free seed pack in my order from Baker's Creek, and it's very productive. I like it. I need to see what it looks like when it ripens, but I have 2 plants in here. They are doing perfectly well. Now this purple pepper plant I did not label, but I think it's a Thunderbolt pepper and it's super hot. I don't see any flowers. Oh, I do see flowers starting to form, but I don't have any fruit on it yet. So we shall wait for you, little one. Super hot peppers do take longer to grow, so give it time. Here is berry aisle. I have raspberries and then blueberries down here with some bitter leaf in the back. And I just set up this area here a week or so ago. This is for my watermelons, and I have about 4 varieties growing in here. I put a trellis up here for the sugar babies to grow up, and then I'm going to let the bigger ones crawl on the floor. I covered it with some weed fabric, and we'll see how this does. Quick run by the citrus grove, and it's doing pretty well. I put some zinnias behind here, and they're just starting to flower. That's my polar bear zinnia, and I'm not sure who I planted there, but I think it's the queen lime or so. We'll see soon. I can't wait for this place to flower up. Thank you for touring the garden today with me. Please like the video and subscribe. And until next time, may you always find joy in your garden and your life. Bye, garden friend.